congratulations on the film. I've had a chance to sit down and watch it, and congratulations, it's an absolutely fantastic film.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad you like it. No, thanks. And you're in Australia?
That's correct, yeah, Melbourne, Australia, yep.
Oh wow. Sorry, I had no idea, but good. I'm so good to speak to someone from home.
So, Chloe, tell us a little bit about where the beginnings of this film came about for you, because you star in the film, but you also wrote the film. So tell us a little bit about where that idea came about for you from the very, very start.
Oh, sure. Yes. I mean, the initial idea came about 10 years before we made it, when I was living in Sydney, and I was running an errand for a producer I was working for, and he asked me to drop off something at one of the top agencies there, and I remember this thought just went, well, just say a famous director came out of the agency and drove into the back of my car, and then it kind of like, I thought, okay, that's a nice concept, and then that kind of stayed with me, and then I just, the rest kind of came together from that. But yeah, it's sort of like it's been one of those projects you think of, and then scribble the idea into a notebook, and then write a little bit more as ideas come. But yeah, that was essentially the start of it. Was when I kind of thought, oh, what if that were to happen to me?
So were you writing little bits and pieces of the film all of that time, or did you kind of just jot down notes and then one day sit down and decide, nah, I need to get this done, and worked on the script flat out? How did that writing process go for you?
I mean, it goes. I mean, that was essentially that was how it started. But then, a lot of it also came from when I wasn't living over here then, but when I used to visit LA, I was shocked by the huge gap between the rich and the poor over here, and that I think inspired a lot. And that was when I kind of sat down and wrote, because I was really tried to write. So it was like, so it started off with that one little idea, and then I built on that. But yeah, it's like, no, I mean, I have ideas, and then I jot them down, and then at a certain point I actually sit down and write it all up.
Wow. So you've had such an amazing life. You started off life in Zimbabwe, came to Australia, and now you're in the US. Tell us a little bit about that journey and what made that, what led to that ultimate decision of going to America to look for work as an actress.
Well, I think it's like it was always there. I knew I wanted to act from when I was old enough to work out that, the people in movies weren't real. I knew that was what I wanted to do. So from when I was about five years old. So it was always, America was always going to be there. But yes, I grew up in Zimbabwe, and our family immigrated because of the political upheaval, the political problems. And then and then I was in Australia a few years, in Sydney, and then I subsequently made the move over here. So that was the sort of, but it was always like, the end goal was always going to be California. Yep.
Yeah, that would have been such a scary move, though, going from Australia to California. Tell us a little bit about how you felt about that move. Were you nervous, or were you excited when you first arrived there in California?
I think it was definitely more excitement. I already had friends over here because I was always coming back and forth. So it wasn't like I didn't know anyone. And, it was very exciting, but it also was a bit of a culture shock, the whole, we'll start as driving on the other side of the road. You've got to learn. But also stuff like, as a person, even though I see myself as Zimbabwean, I kind of, I can relate a lot more to the Australians than the Americans, especially the Californians, because Australians are very blunt with you. They will tell you how it is. And I'm used to that. But whereas Californians will say to you, oh, we love your script. But meanwhile, they cannot stand it, So it's kind of like, it was that's the one thing which I have struggled with over here.
Yeah, okay. So once you'd written this film, how did you go about getting it made? Did you have to do the whole pitching thing to different directors and different producers, or how did that process happen for you?
Oh yeah, it was a long process. Like I had it was first of all starting with production companies over here, and that was the most frustrating thing ever, because one thing I don't know if you've been to LA or if you ever are here pitching movies. It's one thing you've got to realize is that what I was just saying earlier is that there's a lot of time people just are not sincere. I mean, so there were 3 occasions when I sent this out to various producers and they emailed me. They said, "We love your script. We would love to talk to you about it." And on all 3 occasions, I drove across town to their offices. I got there and they'd say to me, "What was your script again?" And I'd say, "Oh, Introducing Today." And they'd say, "What was that about again?" And I'd tell them, and they'd go, "Oh yeah, sorry, we're not interested." And I'll never understand that. I'll never ever. But it happened 3 times. And the 3rd time, I even called ahead. I said, "I just want to make sure before I come to this meeting that this is what you want to do." And they said yes. And then of course the next question they always say after we're not interested is, "What else have you got for us?" So I don't know if it's their imaginative way of finding out what I've got, but it's a little frustrating. So I had so we went off. We're trying to find first of all do it on a fairly bigger budget, and to find like somewhat of a name to play the Zach character, and it ended up just not happening. And we went through 3 directors because we ended up, and then eventually we had to keep cutting the budget. Eventually I just as you probably seen, this is a project very dear to me. Wanted to get it made when I could still play the role. So I said to our last director, who's a wonderful guy, I said, "Look, we're going to go ahead with it on this budget, which I know is way lower than what you're used to." And he said, "No, that's fine. Go ahead without me." Gave his approval. And then I got together with John, who's directed it, John's a very dear friend of mine who actually worked with me on the script. And so I wanted him to direct for a lot of reasons. One, I know him and trust him really well. But also he's a brilliant director, and he also manages to direct. He knows how to direct low budget and make it look expensive. And he's also he's mostly known for horror movies. And I know that he was wanting to break out of that, and he does have a flair for romantic comedy. He's written some great scripts, and I always knew he would be brilliant at directing a romantic comedy. So this worked out. So then when it came to that, when we did slash the budget, John was on board, and we got him sponsored for a visa. He flew out here, and then we just made it on a shoestring budget.
Having somebody like John, who was a close friend who'd also worked on the script, that must have almost felt like that was right and perfect for you because of the fact that he did have such an involvement with the script. Is that would that be the way you felt?
Absolutely, yes. No, he was one of the first who I showed the script to, and he gave, he tended to get the character. He gave me some really great ideas, and so yes, it was perfect because I felt very safe because he was someone I could trust with it. So yes, it was good, and also we've worked on several projects together, John and I. So it was it's almost like we're family when it comes to making films. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're sensational in the lead role, but how did you go about casting the film around you as well? Did you go through different casting agents, or was there a really extensive kind of audition process to find those right people to be around you with the cast?
Yes. Well, we went. I put it on. We put the breakdowns out there on breakdowns for actors to respond to, and then we just auditioned a whole lot of people. And this was the good thing about the world we live in today is that John was in Australia at the time, I was in LA, but we could still watch the auditions. That was pretty much how we went about it. Zach's character Zach was initially going to be played by Judd Nelson, but he ended up having a clash with another film that ended up going over, and it was shooting in Europe at the time. So he got held up on that, and we had a limited time to shoot ours because John was coming out from Australia. He was on a visa. Time was limited, so we had to cast that role. So Jeff, who plays Zach, was actually initially cast as the boyfriend role, the cheating boyfriend. I didn't see Zach as looking like Jeff initially. I always saw him as being older, more rugged, more kind of bitter and cynical, whereas Jeff is incredibly handsome. That wasn't how I saw Zach, but John said, look, let's audition him for Zach, and of course he was brilliant, and so we went with it. But yeah, it was a fun casting, fun casting it, and we actually, I think we did get a great cast together, and they were all really good and all wonderful people.
Yeah, and for your own experience as well, how did it feel playing an actress in a film? Because of course, if you're playing something like a chef, then you would go and do research into what's it like being a chef. But what's it like playing an actress when that is your life?
It's fun. I mean, as I said, it was like a lot of it was drawn from experience in the script. So but yeah, it was just kind of like, with Jodea, it's like it became a case of, I mean, when we started the rehearsals, John said to me, you're for the scenes when I'm supposed to be acting badly, he said, you're acting too well. You've got to really, really be bad. And he made me go over the top bad, which at first felt really unnatural. But I ended up, having to get into the frame of mind of her thinking. I mean, so it was just, yes, she's an actress. She's had similar experiences, but it's different in that she has Jodea is still kind of, believes in fairies and the tooth fairy and all of that, like she goes into the agent's office, and risks, and because she thinks that if he sees her, he might say, oh, wait, I want to represent you, So she's kept that innocence to her. So that was the part that was different, that was challenging for me, was to take on board this person who just had this absolute passion for acting, which I do have, but she also had the innocence and the complete fearlessness and not being afraid of being rejected, which I had to, just take on board those sort of quirks to her character.
Yeah, well, Chloe, it has ended up being an absolutely fantastic film. So, again, I want to say congratulations, but is there anything that you want to say to our listeners and our readers out there before they get a chance to sit down and watch this amazing film?
Oh, yeah, no, thanks. I mean, look, please, I hope you enjoy it, and, it's like, it's a kind of, I mean, it is a feel-good movie. I want people to see it and feel happy, because what everyone's been through the last year, we kind of need lighthearted stuff. And but it's also got a more, it's also got a more important, there's kind of like the whole, the deeper messages there, like not just Jodea learning how to act, but also the lessons that she teaches Zach, and in his career. So it's it's like I just say, like, yeah, enjoy it, but also keep an open mind, and sort of see the messages there.
Definitely. Well, Chloe, thank you so much for chatting to us today. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you, and we cannot wait to see what you do with your next film project.
Thank you so much. I totally appreciate you making the time, and yes, thanks again.
Not a problem. I'll let you go. Stay safe, and hopefully we get to talk again in the future.
Absolutely. Have a good one.
You too. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.